Hi everyone, I'm Kanika Saxena from kanikasaxena.com. Hope you're all doing great as usual. I'm back again with some food for thought. In this week's video, I'll be giving some tips for all you budding authors, all of you who dream of writing your book. And these tips are especially for first time authors who want to write but are somehow not able to complete their books. So I have gone through it, and today I have published 7 books. So I know how difficult it is, what an author goes through, and this is what I would like to share from my experience. If you like the content that is shared on my channel, do subscribe to my channel, Food for Thought with Kanika Saxena. So let's talk about writing a book. Most of us dream of becoming authors. We want to share our experiences. We have learned certain things. We want to share those. Some of us are professionals. I've spoken to doctors, who want to talk about what their experience with patients and treatments and about their field. So there are people who want to talk about their specific field, about different topics. Then there are people who are very creative and who can think of stories, who think of writing fictional books. So all these things, your dream of writing a book can come true if you follow a simple strategy, some simple tips that I'll be sharing with you. So here are 5 tips to become a published author. Tip number 1: write a book that is not too long. So give yourself a limit, a word limit. So what happens is most of us are not able to complete our first books because we have very flamboyant plans. We think of writing a thick book, a big one that we might have liked of some other author, and we might want to. Yes, there's nothing wrong with having such a dream, but what happens is when you think of writing a big book, it's all the more difficult to complete it, and when you cannot complete it, it's very discouraging and demotivating. So this has happened to me. I've started many times and have not been able to complete it. So, then I had to give up and sort of give up on my dream of becoming an author. But then I realized that it's better to start small. So that's why the first book I wrote was a very short one. So the book is called A Lockdown Story. So what I want to tell you is that give yourself a short. Think of writing a short book. Give yourself a word limit, maybe 10,000 words or 20,000 words, a short one. Once you get started, when you complete the book, you will get a sense of achievement. You will have the confidence, and then maybe your next book can be a bigger one that you dreamt of. So just start small. That is the first tip. The second tip is give yourself a deadline. So once you start your book, give yourself a deadline and how much time you're going to complete it. Give yourself a realistic deadline. What happens is that we decide, okay, in 2 months I'll complete it, or 3 months, but it doesn't work that way. You have to think of your current responsibilities. If you're not a full-time author, you will definitely have a lot of things on your hand. So just plan it according to that, how much time you will need to to complete your book, how much time you can dedicate to writing. So based on that, so suppose you're writing a 20,000 word book. So give yourself a time limit, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, depending on your schedule, your responsibilities. So once you have a deadline, you are more likely to complete it, because we humans, we work according to deadlines. So when we have a deadline, we'll do everything to ensure that we complete it by that time, because usually what happens when we have a lot of time, we take it easy. Whatever work we have on hand, we take it easy, postpone it, procrastinate. But as the deadline approaches, then suddenly there's a lot of pressure and we want to complete it quickly. So giving yourself a deadline ensures that you will complete your book on time. And then the third tip is give your book a structure. What happens is we have a lot of ideas and everything is kind of scattered when we sit down, when we are thinking of writing. It's best to, put all those things on paper. It's not exactly writing the entire book, but whatever your thoughts are, to get organized. So what I do as a non-fiction writer is I decide on my chapters. That gives a kind of skeleton for my books, for my book, right? So I know, like for instance, the book that I have written about stress are teeny tiny stress triggers troubling you. So in that there is a fixed sequence. I talk about stress due to striving for perfection, stress due to worrying about your past. So each of these topics becomes a chapter. So I have a list of chapters and then I know what I need to write to complete each of those chapters. So when I go to that chapter, I'm researching on those topics, I'm writing about those topics, those specific topics. So that way, you can have a structure and that gives a logical flow to your writing. You need not be rigid about the structure. It may happen that as you progress with your book, you might have different ideas. You might want to go back and change the sequence or change the content. That doesn't matter, but as long as you have some kind of a rough outline, it helps to get your thoughts in order and to give a logical flow to your book. So that was tip number 3. The tip number 4 is be consistent. What happens is that we get caught up in our daily chores, our daily responsibilities, and then we tend to postpone the book. Just that's one of the things, and that is one thing that gets easily postponed, or you just feel that okay, I'll do it later, I'll do it. And that is something which becomes a big hurdle towards completing your book, because what happens is once you stop writing then and do it for a long time, then it's very difficult to get back to the book and resume it again. This has happened to me. As I said earlier, I started writing a book. I had a lot of ideas. I started with that, and then I got caught up with my other work and this just took a back seat. Then after a few months, when I went back to it, I could not think the way I was thinking at that time. So I'd lost it. So then I had to give up. And it was only when I, set a deadline for myself, started with a short book, that I could actually complete the book. So this is why I say be consistent. Now by being what you can do is set aside a specific time of the day, whatever time suits you. So for instance, you can say 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon I'll do my book writing. And for me it works early in the morning. I have fresh thoughts, so I prefer to do my book at maybe 5:30 to 6:30 or whatever. So you can decide how much time you want to dedicate, and for that particular time period you will do your book. And make sure that you write something every day. Maybe not for 1 hour. You may not be able to give 1 hour every day, but just even if you write just about 50 words or a little bit, just to keep the momentum going, it helps. So make sure that you write something every day to keep the momentum going. Do not stop in between. Just a little bit also will do. Then tip number 5 is cover design. Many of us think that we can do it ourselves, and we want to. Of course, there are many tools that help in cover design, and you can do it yourself. But if it's your first book, I would recommend getting a professional to do it, because the professional touch is something different. I made the mistake of, designing the cover of my book myself, and I really messed it up. And that's why I recommend, going with a professional. Once you've done your first book and, you have published it, then it will, you are more confident. And when you go in for your next book, there are tools that help you design your own cover. You can always use those tools and do it. But with your first book, I would suggest that you go with a professional. So these are things that will get you started and that will help you complete your book. And there are more tips about publishing and other things, so those I will discuss with you in some other video. This video is only to help you get started with your book. So all the best, and looking forward to reading your book. Thank you for watching this video till the very end, and do like, share and comment on this video. Do subscribe to my channel, Food for Thought with Kanika Saxena. Follow me on Instagram. Like my Facebook page. Links are mentioned in the description below. Yes, and don't forget to read my self-help books. Links are available in the description below. Thank you once again. See you next week. Bye-bye.